I am Preston Walker, licensed marriage family therapist in a couple of states. Today, I want to talk to you about the changes in the DSM-5 TR to the DSM-5, but specifically with attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, or ADHD. Now, diagnostically, nothing's changed, but there are some things that are in there that weren't in there before. So there's a couple things, associated features, prevalence, risk and prognostic factors, sex and gender related diagnostic issues, diagnostic markers, association with suicidal thoughts or behavior. These are sections in the DSM-5 TR where there's new content. So let's get started and see what updates do we have on ADHD. I'm going to skip ahead actually to the prevalence. I'll probably come back later and talk about the associated features. So it's a little bit more prevalent than it used to be. So right now it's 7.2 children worldwide have attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. For adults, it's actually the same as it used to be. There's no changes there. It's 2.5% of adults. Now, why is that there's more with kids and less as adults? Well, it's because the symptom severity gets less with some people over time. The brain learns to communicate with itself in a different way that's more akin to someone that doesn't have ADHD, and it minimizes the symptoms. So some people, they have symptoms as a kid, and as they grow old, it's in partial remission. They no longer meet criteria. So that is one of the new things. It used to be about 5%. It is now 7.2. One of the other changes that is new is the heritability. So it's in the DSM-5 TR. It's now saying the heritability of ADHD is approximately 74%. So if you're a parent with ADHD, good chance that your kid will have ADHD. I'm just going to skip ahead to the part I like. Okay, diagnostic markers. This part is exciting. No biological marker is diagnostic for ADHD, although ADHD has been associated with elevated power of slow waves, 4 to 7 hertz, theta waves, as well as decreased power of fast waves, beta waves. A later review found no differences in theta or beta power in either children or adults with ADHD relative to control subjects. Although some neuroimaging studies have shown differences in children with ADHD compared with control subjects, meta-analysis of all neuroimaging studies do not show differences between individuals with ADHD and control subjects. This is likely due to differences in diagnostic criteria, sample size, task used, and technical aspects of neuroimaging technique. Until these issues are resolved, no form of neuroimaging can be used for the diagnosis of ADHD. So, why I absolutely love that they're putting this in here. It seems like, hey, we recognize that there's some research out there. There needs to be more that is before we actually use this to say someone has ADHD. So in neurofeedback, this is one of the things we can tell if someone is a good candidate for neurofeedback is if there's excessive theta waves in the frontal lobe and not fast enough, or not strong enough rather, beta waves. So the theta to beta ratio is one of the ways that ADHD presents itself. What they're saying is we recognize that there's some studies that do this, that there's a lot that shows this, but there's other studies that show that there is no difference until we sort things out, until we get more research on specified types of ADHD or presentation. We can't use this to diagnose someone. So correlation also is not necessarily causation. Or, for example, someone may have excessive theta waves, but may not actually meet criteria, or they may meet criteria. This is more the case, but they might not have excessive theta waves. So there's different ways ADHD can present itself when looking at the brain. So right now, we can't say, oh, from your QEEG, we know that you have ADHD. We can't say that. But that's kind of where some of the research is going, and that is exciting. Next portion, association with suicidal thoughts or behavior. ADHD is a risk factor for suicidal ideation and behavior in children. Similarly, in adulthood, ADHD is associated with increased risk of suicide attempt when comorbid with mood, conduct, or substance use disorders. Even after controlling for comorbidity, suicidal thoughts are also more common in ADHD populations than in non-ADHD control subjects. ADHD predicted persistence of suicidal thoughts in U.S. Army soldiers. So this I'm glad they're putting in there because it's important for clinicians to know this. Let's untreated ADHD in girls, for example, they're 5 times more likely to die by suicide. So it's really important that all the clinicians out there know that, hey, this is a risk factor. If someone has ADHD, they're more likely to have suicidal thoughts. So these are some of the changes in the DSM-5 TR. I might make another video going over the other, but the other changes are not as significant. I hope this has been enjoyable. Please go ahead, click like and subscribe if you found this enjoyable. And if you did not, please tell me, no, I did not, on the comments. Even that probably would help me. And if you don't want to help me, I guess don't do anything. But thank you. Thank you for sticking around. I hope this has been informative. And for those clinicians out there that are doing neurofeedback, you rock. Keep it up. I'm glad there's that treatment for ADHD. And yeah, I'll see you next time.